Oh, there's not a lot of light. Let's see. Oh, there's a bit more light. Even that is not really a whole lot. That's really interesting. Maybe I'm just super dark. Maybe it's not a lot of light. Oh well, this is pretty scorpionic stuff anyway. Okay, let's go into this. Actually, this should be. Well, this is. Well, it's kind of. It is like the deep esoteric. It's true. All right, so this is called the law of karma. So basically, thank you everyone for joining, and this is the River of Truth. And I'm going to go over what I am coining the law of action. So I'm going over this because basically there's a lot of confusion around karma, and there's also a lot of confusion around action. And also, if you speak to people who really speak the language of like chakras, I do know Tantra, and I do know that in Tantra, the chakras are more like mental techniques. But I also know that a chitta creates rupa, and I know that thoughts create material, and I know how that works. And actually, I'm going to make another episode about that too. So um, we're going to go over this is all mind stuff. This is all sort of the lower and higher mental dimensions of the soul. So we're going to go into karma and what actions are and what karmas are and why karma equals action. So, um, you know, what what I could do here is just start another one, just make another note, and then just so people can have it in their heads. Sometimes I'm not really sure like what's being shared. So we have just karma equals action, right? So this is what we're going for right now, and so I'll explain why. So let's go back to this screen here, and then we'll continue. So let's try to find a nice place for this. Maybe search anything for now. Maybe well actually, but not for now. All right. Um, so the first law of karma is the first law of action. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to translate everything according to action. So now there's no more karma, there's action. And I'm actually going to take out some of these words and we're going to talk about action. So everyone knows, so first, before I even read this, everyone knows what actions are. So we're gonna look up just kind of the general and the Gnostic definition of action, so we understand just what action is in the first place, and that way we have an orientation of what the heck we're talking about. So the process is state of acting or of being active. Now it's really funny because obviously for Gnostics we know that definitions that have the word inside of itself are usually used for divisiveness and for confusion, right? So dictionary.com, obviously you know what's going on there, but that's okay. We can just keep moving because that's what the wind is for. And maybe off the bat, what we'll do is maybe we'll just do like wiki. Okay, so there's a wiki for action, which is okay. So first we have a literary mode, a type of genre fiction, a genre of video, a genre of film, a characteristic of a stringed instrument, the mechanism which drops. So obviously, all of these are talking about motion, right? All of these are talking about things in motion, telling a story, things seemingly in motion, looking at a video game. Oh, there's action on my screen. I'm really just looking at a tiny 12-inch screen, but it looks like it's moving because we understand the mechanics of our sense faculties. So the better that we know that, to our own benefit, the better we are, right? So yeah, all these things are action, movement, 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 movement. And so I wonder if, let's see, we have action is the physical movement of characters. We can just go with this one. Action is the mode that writers use to show what is happening at any given moment in the story. Okay, so listen to this. Listen, this is the law of karma, right? Like I could probably say this. Let's just pretend this is true. Let's see. The law of action is that the mode that we use to show what is happening at any given moment in the story. Well, I don't know. Maybe that was off. Let's see. Um, The law of action is the mode that creators use to show. The law of action is the mode that God uses. The law of action, the law of karma, the law of action is the mode that God uses to show what is happening at any given moment in the story. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Okay, so let's just. I'm gonna keep this up because I'm actually gonna laugh about that later. Then we'll do another one. We'll do obviously, let's just do what the common one is. We'll do etymology, and I'm pretty sure that Enema Online is the one. I'm pretty sure this one hasn't been taken over. I know this line is a special. The Chimera and the lion face gods are always kind of like truth bringers and stuff. So, but I know this one. They're definitely watching this one too. There's some words that are just hella bunk on here, and like, oh shit, those are the spells they don't want. They don't want it. They don't want too many people to know. So anyway, we got active exertion activity. It says the cause or grounds for a lawsuit. That's kind of funny. So it's a law terms. And I feel like whenever I'm researching Gnostic terms, anytime that there's a Gnostic term and you start seeing law terms, you start seeing like ships, maritime law and the court of law and stuff like that, you're dealing with some pretty heavy spells because these are the spells that all the the high level mages that are the government, the mind control, the powers that be, the rich people, so on and so forth, the haves and blah 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 blah. But that you're dealing with like some of that energy. So anyway, lawsuit, the cause or grounds for a lawsuit. Now grounds is really interesting because ground is like the root. So essentially what it's saying is the root for an action, which is action. Action is the cause or the root for another action. Right? So essentially they're telling you what it is. Right? That's exactly what it is. Okay, so do we have a root? Let's see. We have noun of action from past particle stem, agere, to do, from pry root, ag, to drive, to move, right? So we know this is movement, of course. We understand, maybe some of you are yogis and you understand, like, tamasic, rajasic. This is obviously rajasic energy. That's what we're talking about, right? But I'm not trying to be obvious. I'm actually just trying to go through things and we can have a laugh at it. So ag, Proto-Indo-European root meaning to drive, draw, or forth, move. It forms all or part of it. Let's see. I like the Greek words and I like the Sanskrit words. Ajati, drives. I wonder what a jati is. Now, normally what I would do is in my research, I would look up a jati and I would go on this whole rabbit hole. But we're gonna keep this a little bit focused because I actually have a lot more to talk about. So Ajati, drives, assembly, contest of games, leader, worth, wordy, to lead, guide, drive, carry off. Set in motion. Okay, all right. So now we understand. All right, so it's Rajasic. Ajati, Rajasic. So jaw is the same. Jati. So I wonder if jaw is like a thing. Jaws. Deer. All right. So we got action. Let's go back. So where are we? Are we still sharing this video? Yes, we are. All right. Hopefully you guys even saw all this. Hopefully we're on the same screen. I'll watch this video and I guess we'll find out. About Buddhism. Wait, that's silly. Action refers to the mental urges. Oh, this is another one. Okay, cool. Let's do this one. Yeah, let's do both of them. We'll switch between the two. This one is a bit more. Is this the Abhidhamma? Oh, this is the Lam Rim. Okay, so this is the Lam Rim, and then this is Path to Enlightenment. All right, we're gonna go in this one first. This is easier to read, and then we'll go into the Lam Rim. This Lam Rim's awesome. The Lam Rim is also easy to read. FYI, the Lam Rim was literally made by enlightened beings for the layman to read. FYI, it's easy to read too. God bless you. Okay, so karma refers to the mental urges that bring us to act. Actions refer to the mental urges that bring us to act. Action refers to the mental urges that bring us to act. Okay, so the word, so because this concept is a dualistic concept, it's hard to find definitions of it without referencing itself, right? It's one yin and yang coin. This the energy that we're pointing to, the dimension of the energy that we're pointing to is like one yin and yang coin. So it's pretty hard to reference one without the other if we're just using the same word, right? So, but this is why I wanted to even say that. So action refers to the mental urges that bring us to act, or we can reverse it. Action refers to the mental urges that bring us to karma, and there you go, right? And I can switch it up all the time. Speak and think in compulsive ways. Act in compulsive ways. Acting out of these urges, acting out of these actions. We enforce our actions, right? As in action, we experience our actions, our moods, our mood actions going up, going in. We experience an up action and a down action, right? All these are karma, right? The 11 sense impressions. Um, but these action results are not predetermined. These actions are not predetermined. Actions are not fixed. We can affect our actions. We can affect our experience. We can make our actions lighter. We can make lighter actions, right? We can make lighter actions. We can create the kind of actions that we want. We can make love actions, light actions, uh, activated actions, actiony actions. We can just engage in our own life and our own karma. We have all these different names, but there's one name to the thing. This is basically a law. So basically, here's why I wanted to say that. So there are certain general aspects of action called the four laws of action. All right, so there's four laws of action. What are they? If we ask why these laws work the way they do, it is just the way it is. It is like asking, why does everyone want to be happy and not to suffer? It is just the way it is. We have to accept that certain things are the way they are. We have to accept that certain actions are the way they are. Now, here's what confuses people. People see actions as things. Now, let me tell you this. There is a great man. Some of you might know him. His name is Patanjali, or Sri Patanjali, to give him respect. And Patanjali was a yogic meditator, if you're not familiar. And to really uber paraphrase it, he was an awesome dude who was super cultivated through multiple lives. And he incarnated on this earth in a really awesome time, near the Buddha, might I add. And he laid down a badass science of liberation through yoga and through union with God, through union with our own soul, right? Our own Hadaya Vatu, our own karma. Now, these things are all related, but I'm going to talk about them later. Maybe I'll have some other videos. Maybe you already watched. So, it is this way. It is the way it is. We have to accept certain actions as they are. When we see things as static, we are in a particular mode of consciousness. Now, Patanjali says, according to Harvard theologists, Patanjali says that, or actually, actually it's Oxford. The Harvard ones said something else. Oxford theologists said Patanjali said ignorance, right? So what Patanjali says is that when we see things as static and our consciousness is not connected to the truth that every single action that we are experiencing is creating another action that we are also experiencing, and on and on and on and on. And it's kind of like a big Rajasic movement. And that is the I am Tiamat, that is time, that is this dimension, right? So Patanjali said, if you see things that are static, if you were seeing a static thing, you were ignorant, according to the Oxford version of what avidya means. Avidya means ignorance. Now everyone, fucking London and all, the UK took over India, blah blah blah. I know all the conspiracy and the real and the history. Okay, so Harvard, however, said something awesome. They said something way different, and what they said was Patanjali says that the type of consciousness that sees staticness that sees something as one, right? That has a number. Oh, look, that's one. That means that's two and three, right? The consciousness that can see numbers, that can see static, that can see just the oneness. So that consciousness is called undifferentiated consciousness. Undifferentiated consciousness, right? I wish I had do like something like that. Undifferentiated consciousness. And I'm going to write it out, and then you guys can see what's happening right now, and you can Google this. Patanjali. I like to write notes. Some of my favorite lecture people, they make like little notes on their podcasts. And this is going to go on the podcast too, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do some of these notes. So Patanjali, undifferentiated consciousness. All right. So according to these Harvard theologians, you know, this is what Patanjali was saying, is that undifferentiated consciousness was avidya, or avidya was undifferentiated consciousness. Now, here's what Patanjali says about avidya, though, and this is the truth about avidya. And the truth is that, quote unquote, ignorance, and it's not really ignorance, that's just some weird human ego thing about being angry, about not being perfect. I have no fucking clue what that is. But the type of consciousness that we have, the conceptual mind, the mind that thinks that there is one thing, is a type of consciousness where we have to accept the way things are, right? That's what it is. And because it's a thing, it can change, right? So there, for instance, it says we just have to accept certain things as the way they are. So we just have to accept certain karmas as the way they are. So if we are seeing something as one thing, it's very hard to accept. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that can change. There's so many other things than that, right? Because you start comparing it. That's how we get, like, everyone's, don't, you ever hear people say, especially spiritual people say, oh, don't make comparisons, and you have like the counter argument, like, you can make comparisons, just live your life, you have an ego, blah, blah, it's different people. But the thing is that comparisons is what creates this. We just have to accept that certain things are the way they are. Things are karmas, actions. We just accept that certain karmas are the way they are. We just have to accept that certain actions are the way they are. So if we saw everything as moving, it would be very easy to accept the way it is, because it already moves. If you saw a box that flew across from, like, if you're just sitting and there's like a window in front of you and you just saw a bird or a box or like an alien or whatever you saw, and it just kind of floated in the window and it just moved to the right very slowly. Maybe you even got up and investigated it and it just moved beyond your vision. You just kind of have to accept the fact that even if you don't know what that is, you saw something. Even if you were hallucinating, there was a conventional reality, right? This is what science is completely disbanded, right? The empirical, whatever. I don't understand that stuff. I'm not, I could probably make some great commentaries on that stuff, but I don't care. Okay. So we just have to accept that certain karmas are the way they are, right? The first law is about the certain results. When we experience unhappiness or pain, it is certain that it came from our own previously committed destructive actions. All right. The first law is the certainty about actions. When we experience our actions. Okay, so here's the delineation again between actions. Okay, actions come through the 11 mental impressions: past, present, future, near, far, gross, subtle, superior, inferior, which is basically like and like, and then internal and external. So if we experience actions, karma, through all 11 impressions, through every single faculty, which is, I think there's basically 5. We have 5 faculties to being. We have essentially the movements, the karmas of our body, of our speech, and of our mind. We have a consciousness that is an amalgamation of all 11 of those mental impressions, right? They're 11 mental impressions. That's what they're called. So we have basically an amalgamation of those 11 mental impressions that we call me, that we call vijnana in Buddhism, or consciousness. Some people call it defiled consciousness. That's not really a great term. It's honestly not. It kind of misses the point, to be perfectly honest with you. And all these lovely, be pure kind of addictions. So anyway, we also have that. We also have sauna. So there's these 11 mental impressions through sauna. Sauna is comprehension. Comprehension is its own little, like, it's called a seti sika, but basically it's like an attitude. It's like a particular energy in the dimension of consciousness, right? Consciousness is its own sort of dimension. It belongs in the mental realm, and the lower and higher, and like it's made out of sort of whatever that energy is, whatever that dimension is made out of, and it's the stream of what's called chitta, or consciousness. Now this is the same thing as chi, by the way. Chitta. Look, we're gonna do another one here. And this will be my last. I go off all these like great little points here. So chitta equals chi equals consciousness. So that stuff that you're calling, like, quote unquote aether around the body, right? That stuff, that's consciousness, right? That's consciousness. So you can meditate on that. You can think about how far that goes. I'm sure a lot of you already have, and stuff like that. So going back to this though. So the first law is a certain amount of results when we experience involuntary actions, right? That's what unhappiness and pain is. Some involuntary actions are sadness. When we experience our emotions, when we experience basically anything that is involuntary. A lot of the world is involuntary. A lot of us is involuntary, right? Part of us, part of our very existence is everything that is not us. That is actually us, right? So there's quote unquote me, and then there's everything else, and then that is also quote unquote me. I mean, you can even keep going, because that whole idea is fractal because it's still in the mind. So when we experience unhappiness and pain, when we experience actions, our own involuntary actions, it is certain that it came from our own previously committed destructive actions, aka it's certain that it came from our own voluntary actions, right? Our choices. We have all these different names for these things, but honestly, if we just keep the same name, it's much easier to understand all these concepts. When we experience involuntary actions, it is certain that it came from our own voluntary actions. That is the first law of certainty about karma. Just the first law, FYI. I might do another 2, 3, 4, see what happens. One more. Bless you.